Welcome back to another episode of Brand Murphy Garage, and today, well, as you can tell, I have the throttle bodies ripped off the car. I have them down here on the workbench. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to completely get this one rebuilt, and then I'm going to show you how to do it on this one. This is the primary one. This is the driver's side one. This is the one that's going to have the fuel pressure regulator. And your fuel pressure regulator is in this assembly right here. And if you see that little orange gasket looking thing, what that is this. And this feels like a little spring-loaded piece in here. And there's a screw in here with another spring on it that controls how much fuel pressure goes through the throttle bodies. Now this one over here doesn't have one. It has something called the fuel pressure acclimator or something, and it's basically, it looks just like this one, except there's no spring loaded little, what is that, a piston or something in there. So it's basically just a version of that doesn't control fuel pressure, just allows it to go through. So when you're doing this, you need to make sure you know which piece goes on which throttle body. It's easy to do these one at a time. I'm going to finish doing this one, and then we will go into doing this one. Now for me, my fuel lines were pretty seized onto the inlets that connect to the meter, so I had to cut my lines, but I got just some fuel hose, and it's not a permanent fix because I am going to go ahead and get steel braid line eventually. We're just using this right now as a temporary fix. And I also got a fuel pressure gauge as well, so I can monitor my fuel pressure going between the throttle bodies, because we are going to be upping it to about 15 psi. So I'm going to go ahead, get this one done, and then we'll move on to this. The throttle body is rebuilt. It was actually pretty easy, and we're about to go over that. This right here is the throttle position sensor. Now, normally you have to calibrate or get it lined up correctly and everything. I just kind of used the marks of the grime on here to kind of like line it up right and put it back in, and it looks about right, but we'll see that we might have to adjust that later. Also, these throttle bodies, I used 2 whole cans of carb cleaner to get these looking the way that they do right now. I'll post a video somewhere here, or a picture somewhere right here, that shows you what these things look like before I cleaned them up. Second thing I wanted to talk to you about is, can you see right up in here? Normally there's going to be a cap right under here on the bottom of your fuel meter. I punched mine out because this is how we're going to adjust the fuel pressure of the car. There's a little screw up in there that you can turn. So mine's punched out. If you have a Crossfire, yours is most likely already punched out because someone probably already messed with it. Remember, mine has been untouched for 40 years. So let's see, anything else aside from that? Not really, I don't think so. I think this thing is pretty much good to go. We're going to now rebuild the second one over here, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Basically, what you're going to need is, I got 2 star bits here. Do they say the size? Probably not, because it's Craftsman. It's a T25 and a T20. So a T25 and a T20, that's what I'm using to get the screws out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are going to be T20s. And then 1, 2, 3. Those are going to be T25s. All right. Now, I'm going to take out the fuel inlets here, but in order for me to get them out, because mine are seized up, so I'm going to have to take the idle air controller off. do that, I just have a big ass adjustable wrench right here. I'm just going to come in here, get it on, break it loose, and then just unscrew it. Okay, cool. Now, come in here for my fuel lines. I'm going to sit here and hold on. These suckers are on there. Wow, that is on there. Holy cow. Whew. Wow. Oh. Okay. Oh, sitting down for this. Holy crap, dude. Oh. Get a little bit more leverage. Wow. All right, we're back. I got them. Those were, yeah, a little, whew. All right. Bad gaskets. Okay, now we're here. Idle air controller and your inlet and outlet for your fuel is gone. So what I like to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and take the top part of the assembly off first. And also, I am kind of cheating a little bit because if you remember, I have manuals, full manuals from the car. So I have diagrams on how everything should go. And I even have instructions on removing and assembling. So, yeah. It's not like I just know this, because my kit that I got from AC Delco was supposed to come with instructions, and they didn't. So this is just kind of a figure it out as you go along type thing, hence why I built the first one before I did the second one. Because if I screwed up, at least then you wouldn't have to hear me yell and scream and complain on camera. But I don't think I screwed up. I think it's okay. But we'll see when we plug it back into the car, right? Alright, so you have these 5 screws on top. Alright, so we're unscrewing the 5 screws on top. And you can tell them apart because the 2 over the fuel injector have a round head, and the 3 holding the fuel meter down are flat. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah. So they're also different lengths, I believe, as well. So, but all right. So now we should be able to pull that off. Hello? I'm not missing anything. I don't know why that's not coming off there. Good gaskets, I guess. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's on there. Let's see, can I just like... There we go. Alright, I just pried it off. So, alright. Yeah, these gaskets are shot. They're just coming off in pieces. So there's that one. And then you have one right here. Also pretty stuck on there. 40-year-old gasket, you know, it's not just, most of them probably won't come off in one piece. And then you have one right here where the fuel meter connects to the base plate. So, there you go. There's your 3 gaskets for right there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the new base plate gasket on. Then throw this back on top and screw them back down. Reason why is in order to get your fuel injector out, this kind of needs to be attached to the assembly. At least, wow, there is some gunk in there. Let me tell you what. Let's talk about how to get the fuel injector out. Now, according to my manuals, I want a gasket. So in this case, we have the new gasket. Put it back over where it's supposed to go. Then you get a piece of metal, or in this case, I have a piece of fuel line, and you set it down about right here. Okay? Tracking. Then you get a screwdriver and you put the flathead underneath the injector. There's a little lip on it. Okay. You put it underneath that lip and then you just pry it out. Like so. That's how you get the fuel injector out. Easy. And this one looks pretty good. So one thing that I have found out is they only gave me one fuel injector filter. And that is this little piece right here. Now, the other one was pretty disgusting. And if I can find it, I'll show it to you guys. It may have went bye-bye somewhere already, because I'm not seeing it. Of course not. Because, you know, why would I keep stuff? Yeah, okay, well, but anyways, this one don't look too bad, so we're not going to replace it, and hopefully it'll be okay. I mean, it will be. It's like, yeah, the paper isn't torn, and I have no rips. And the material still looks decent, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So normally, what you would do is you would remove the filter. But that's not happening for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our new little O-ring. Okay. We're going to slide the O-ring on, like so. There we go. The book recommends dousing this in ATF first. I don't have ATF, so oh well. And then you're going to take your, is it already out? Yeah, okay, good. It's going to be a little metal piece like this that's going to come out of the assembly. You're going to get your new one, which is this one. You're going to put it right in top. And it's going to set down inside the injector housing, right on top. There's a little lip for it. Okay. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to take your bigger rubber O-ring and you're going to set that down on top of the little metal ring that you put in there. And there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Now you'll notice on your injector you have a little raised piece right here. Okay. That is going to set down in the little hole right there. All right. So what you'll do is you'll wiggle it around, you'll twist it until it seats itself. And then you know you're good for that. Now, it's not going to sit as low as it did before because these are fresh O-rings in here. So they still have a little bit of springy. They're not compressed yet. You will compress the injector down when you put the meter back on. Speaking of, let's go ahead and get that taken care of while we're here. Huh? Just make sure that these screws are nice and tightened down. Now, is there a torque spec for these? Yes, there is. In fact, for this one, it's 260 inch-pounds. I do not have an inch-pound torque wrench, so yeah, I'm just snugging them. Just snugging them. These are aluminum. Do not over-tighten. Figure out the actual torque specs and tighten them down. Me, I'm not doing it. So I'm just getting them nice and snug, you know, making sure I'm not breaking the aluminum, you know, or stripping the aluminum, and we're good. It's fine. But for those that want to know actual torque spec, the 3 down here, 260 inch-pounds. Okay. So now we're going to go to the fuel pressure acclimator, and this is where shit kind of gets a little fun for one person. And I'll show you what I mean. It's nothing really that hard, honestly. It's just a little bit more of an annoyance than anything. Break these loose. Now, this is spring-loaded, so, you know, be careful. Alright. So, this is going to be your fuel pressure acclimator assembly. Mine kind of fell apart, but here, I'll show you what we're going to do. So, see the part that's sticking up, like it looks like a nozzle? Drop that in with it facing up. See the spring? Boom. That's all that really is. Alright, now, come over here. This right here shows you why before you throw more fuel pressure at your car, you need to make sure that these pieces are thoroughly changed out. Alright? So, this is the fuel pressure acclimator. And as you can see, unlike its counterpart, the rubber's pretty worn down. And if we threw any more fuel pressure at this thing, it was probably gonna rupture, and then we'd have more issues than what we already have. So it's good to rebuild your throttle bodies before you start doing anything with the fuel system on these cars, whether it is a crossfire injection car or if it is a throttle body injection car. So go ahead, before you start modifying your throttle bodies in any sort of way, go pick up a new kit, because yeah, it'll be needed. All right, so to put this back on, see, you got 4 holes diagonally this way and 2 holes that way. It's going to line up right on here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want the quarter. I say it looks like a quarter. I'm going to take the quarter, okay, we're going to put it right in there. Okay, so that way, this little area in here is where the spring seats down at. So now comes the annoying part. We got to put the spring back on. And I only say it's annoying, by the way, the little lip right here is going to go to the outside of the meter over here. All right, so we're going to take this and we're just going to push it down and get the holes lined up. You just got to keep pressure on it. Oof. And then I'm going to work a couple screws into it. Oh man, this is already sucking. Ah! There we go. All right. Stay there. Start working the screws in. There's one. And then here's 2. Cool. Now, look, you got it right there. You can adjust your gasket or your fuel pressure dude around. Make sure everything looks good. Start putting your other screws back in. There you go. Just like that. I'll just put it back on. And for those wanting to know what those need to be torqued down to, let's see here. That'd be the fuel meter cover. So 28 inch-pounds. Cool. Now, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to clean up the gasket area. Just a little razor blade. Make sure we got all the previous gunk off. Alright, got it cleaned off. Go ahead, take a new part. Throw it right down on top, just like that. You're good with that. Then we'll come back over here. I'm going to clean up the area right around the injector housing. I'm going to take the new gasket, put it on, just like that. So now you're ready to go ahead and put this back together. So go ahead, line it up, and then the way that I did it on the other one is I took the 2 screws that go here right above the injector, and I put them in first and started getting them screwed down. The reason I did that was because this is going to push the injector down. Oh, hello, that's not seated. Why did you jump out? That would have been an issue. There we go. Let's try that again. Okay. Now that those two are mostly screwed in, we're going to get the other three and screw them in too. So now we're going to have a nice, even seating. Sorry about that. Wife and kid came home. But there we go. We got it fully seated back on there. Injectors in. We're good to go. So, with that being said, I think we're pretty much close to being ready to put this back on the car. Now, one thing we're going to do real quick is we're going to put the idle air controller back in and our fuel lines. So, this little paper gasket is going to go right in here. And then for our fuel lines, we have these two little plastic looking gaskets, and they're going to go right there, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our fuel lines back in. Like so. And I'm going to come in here. We're going to get that one in. Pretty nice and snug. We're going to do this one. All right, now our idle air controller. Boom. Just like that. Good to go. All right, now we're going to reattach them. We're going to come in here. And this is the little arm here that's going to go on the back side right here. It'll go right in there and get in. Boom. Just like that. And you're going to take this little like retaining clip here and we're going to put it right here. We're going to go ahead and throw these puppies back on the car. I went ahead and cleaned up the intake, the inlets here. Yeah, got the new gaskets put on, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw the throttle bodies back on. Should be pretty easy. Whew. Well, looks pretty good if I say so myself. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and start bolting these things down. If I remember correctly, the two bolts with the screws on top of it, I don't exactly know what they're called. These ones, the tall ones, they go on the outside of each throttle body, and that's what the air cleaner sits down to. The long bolts without the screws on the top, they go on the inside of the throttle bodies. Now, I tried finding in my manuals a torque spec for these. Can't find them, so we're just going to tighten them down to what we think, and that's going to be that. And that'll be all she wrote for these. And then the small bolts go at the tops, like so. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead, put the idle air controllers back in. Maybe, yep. There's one. Two. Throttle position sensor. In. Okay. We have our injectors plugged in. All right, now I'm gonna cut the hose for the fuel lines. All right, camera died, so I had to throw her back on the old charger, but we're hooked up. A fuel line, fuel line, fuel line, fuel pressure gauge. Come over here. Now we ain't gonna start it. It's the middle of the night right now. I don't think my wife would appreciate it, but we'll go ahead, turn it on. Come over here, and the fuel pressure gauge works for a second, and then it doesn't. Huh. I don't know what that's all about. Now, I'm not seeing any leaks or anything like that, so I think we're good. So tomorrow morning we'll go ahead and start this up. So I'll probably make this a part 2 when we go ahead and start the motor up, because then I'm gonna play with the timing, and I'm gonna go out and get a little tool so I can adjust the fuel pressure regulator. We'll play with that. But yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. We'll be back again with another part of this soon. If you haven't done so already, why don't you go ahead and subscribe. We're just going to keep doing stuff with this motor. I'm planning on pulling it out later this week. And yeah, thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.